What up, y'all? Welcome back to the Bees Like That podcast. And yes, as always, I'm your host, Chris. And I wanted to say, announce something, making a little announcement, because I'm not sure that YouTube broadcasts these forms of changes. But I've updated the YouTube channel, formerly known as Maji on YouTube. YouTube is now exclusively and will remain to be known as the Bees Like That podcast. Maji on YouTube was a leg of MajiOnline.com, which was a fitness coaching, health and fitness coaching, lifestyle coaching, mentorship program business that I started. Oh, I better shut that off. 1 second. Multitasking. This phone, I'm telling you right now, I'm about to move to an iPhone. Apple, I'm serious. You're about to get a new customer. I'm serious. I'm getting so tired of this Android business. It's so frustrating. Anyway, where was I? Oh, so it was a fitness, lifestyle, mentorship, coaching business. And first, let me start by saying this. As a bodybuilder, competitive bodybuilder, I love fitness. I love bodybuilding. I love helping people realize new levels of fitness. I love helping people like click and get it and unlock their personal fitness journeys and being a part of that. That being said, I learned something about myself. I really did. I learned something about myself. Let me say two things. So back when I first really got into fitness, I was probably around 16 when I was serious about it, committed. That's when I made my first major fitness transformation. I went from like 231 to like 165. Because back then, in the city where the skinny died, Tupac went 165. That was my goal because Tupac was the man. It was the 90s and Tupac was my idol. Every young black male idolized Tupac, so I wanted to be just like him in the way that I weighed 165. So I made that my goal. That was what I was shooting for, and I achieved that. It took me a year, which is crazy to lose that much weight in a year, but it also speaks to the dedication, the mindset, and commitment, and also a little bit of genetics. Anyway, since then, I'd had a goal of working in the fitness industry. From that point, though, what my specific goal was to be a trainer to established athletes. What that would look like, who knows? Maybe NBA, NFL, maybe neither of those because I don't like either of those, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily have to like baseball or basketball or football or even baseball to be able to understand what a certain athlete's needs were, dependent on like the specificity of their position, role, etc. Anyway, that's what I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to work with people who are already established athletes that I didn't need to assist or support in becoming fit, learning how to lift, learning how to train, learning about nutrition, etc. Not that all of these people just inherently knew this or that they knew or had a good grasp on it. One thing I did realize is that a lot of the athletes rely on their athleticism, and they're terrible in the gym. They suck at lifting weights. Some, not all. But anyway, a lot of people fall back on their talent. And it's the reason why effort beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I ended up in a form of coaching that I'm not sure that it suits my disposition. So I ended up shutting it down because I realized two things. One, I'm just not the guy who is down to just like take people's money if I feel like I'm not adding substantive value to their lives, right? Some people have argued to me directly saying, hey, Chris, you did your part. You supplied the instruction. You supplied the support. You supplied the accountability, all of it, the training, nutrition, etc. You supplied it all. You did your part. You collected a fee. That's part of it. That's only a part of the equation. That's only part of the fun of the journey, right? It is so satisfying to see people get it. And I'm not just talking about getting people shredded. I mean, just people get it. They get it. They see the progress. It motivates them. They're enthusiastic about it now. And they've kind of bridged that gap between like the version of themselves that they really don't like, full of self-doubt, to the one that has some promise, right? Like the internally perceived promise is what I'm talking about. So that part of it, if that's missing, if I don't have that connection, I feel like shit taking money from people, even though all things being equal, services and products were rendered and I delivered, they didn't ultimately, I feel like I failed them because they didn't get what they want. Adding to that, meaning the new level of fitness they want. Adding to that, it just became increasingly frustrating to me. One, it sucks to have two people frustrated with each other. Me frustrated with you because I know I've been in fitness for a long time, been working out for a long time, and I understand that generally the application pretty seamlessly applies to most people, right? With some variance, of course, I get it. So don't get all in my comments talking about, oh, genetic adaptations and da-da-da-da-da. Shut up, stupid. Shut up. It almost always, okay, so when progress stalls, right, and inevitably it does, there are multifaceted, so the reason for that could be multifaceted. There are numerous variables to control here. The one that we have the most control over is what type and form of foods and the combinations that we're putting into our bodies and how much. So you're either at a deficit, you're either at maintenance, or you're at a surplus. At a deficit to lose weight, you're at maintenance to maintain weight, or you're at a surplus to gain weight, meaning muscle. Deficit to burn fat and retain as much muscle as possible. So when someone says to me at a check-in, Chris, I don't know what happened. I gained 4 pounds since last Friday, and I stuck to my diet exactly. There are so many coaches out there who would just say, hold on, let me double check something. There's so many coaches out there who will just be like, "Oh, that's weird." As long as that debit charge, as long as that charge for services clears, they don't give a shit. They don't care. You know what I mean? They'll say, "All right, well, let's increase cardio this week and leave food the same, and we'll see where we're at next week." And this continues. I'm not that person. In circumstances like that, most of the time, when you're gaining weight and you're accessing coaching, nutrition, fitness, etc., most of the time, if the coach is worth a shit, most of the time, it boils down to food. You're either, okay, depending on which way the progress is going and you don't want it to go, you're either eating too much or too little, or you're missing workouts, or you're missing meals, etc. It always boils down to either movement or food. I know this. You know this. We know, we have this understanding shared together. Yet, you continue to tell me that you don't understand what's happened. You did everything that I told you to do. Like that one meme, a bullshit. So anyway, enough on that. That's another one of the reasons why, like, I was fed up with continually trying to drag people into what they're paying for. Like, that's not what this relationship is about for me. If I've got to charge you to drag your ass into the product that you want, this is not the product for you, and I'm not the coach for you, right? So I'm taking a break from it, and I shut it down. I have had thoughts of rebranding the coaching business and, going back to my original goal and approach of only working with established athletes. I feel like that would save me and the athlete some frustration because I don't need to, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm not willing to teach people about fitness who are beginners. I absolutely am. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't incorporate that as a part of my business. If I did, it would be a really small part of the business, and it would be a pretty tough sell. Like, you're going to have to really show that this is a journey you want to be on. You're not just going to hire me. I'm not just going to write you a program with nutrition and movement, and you're not going to follow it, and I just continually take your money. You feel like shit. I'm frustrated. That's not an ideal setup for me. It's not an ideal setup for you. You're basically paying me money so that you can feel bad and not follow the plan. Don't like it. Didn't like it when it was happening. I don't like the idea of it. And I will, if I ever decide to dust off the coaching chops again, I will keep those relationships to a minimum. Because here's the truth. Like I said, there are coaches out there who would just take anybody's money and sell them a plan. If they don't follow it, who gives a shit? And that's how a lot of large corpo gyms make their money, right? They sell memberships. They understand that most of those people, they're just going to have that recurring monthly charge, and they're never going to access the facility because they're never going to start the journey. But they're going to keep that membership because that membership is an attachment to a shallowly rooted promise to yourself that you're going to make some changes. And you're just pissing money away. And I'm not willing to just take people's money and not give them any, like I say, substantive value in return. It's I just don't like it. Didn't want to do it. So, and the last part of it too was I need to have my own facility. Or at least I need to have access to a facility where I can train people, where my intellectual property is not going to be pirated. I don't think I've made up a single new thing under the sun regarding fitness. I may employ a mix of different things in ways that aren't as seen regularly in gym programming, but I ain't came up with no scientific breakthroughs. However, it's just disrespectful, man, right? Like, to not even give a motherfucker a nod, be like, hey, dog, that was a sick-ass workout you programmed. I straight up hijacked it, dog, because it was so dope. In that kind, hey, man, hell yeah, go for it. That kind of information sharing, I think, is dope, because you didn't just take it and just promote it as your own idea and thought. That kind of shit is disingenuous. That kind of shit is sucker shit, and I don't fuck with people like that, period. And I cut them out of my life like cancer, and don't let them back in. I said it. But anyway, the point is, I would need my own facility. And so for a while, that was the plan. I was going to find a space, outfit a space, realized how incredibly expensive that could be. And so it's been a dream deferred. Maybe to reawaken, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Oh, Anyway, I don't even know why I started talking about that. I had another thought that I wanted to share too, but I'd just be running my mouth talking about shit, and I have so many ideas, y'all, so many things going through my brain that I've understood for a long time. I should probably write things down, and most of the time, if I do, the notes later will make some sense to me, but I don't know. I need a different process because I lose the momentum of that thought or idea pretty quickly. Even if I write it down, if I'm not engaged in that kind of flow of it, it just goes, which is cool, whatever. Maybe it wasn't meant to be talked about. But anywho. Oh, now I remember why. Because I was telling y'all why I rebranded. I rebranded the page. So now it is exclusively and will remain to be known as the It Bees Like That podcast, where I talk about whatever the hell I want. I talk to whoever the hell I want for as long as I want. And like I say, all the fun, wacky, zany, and badass tomfoolery that, happens to be on the menu that day. So if when you see the video, you don't see the Maji logo, that's why. That's why. And I've meant to do it for a while, because it just seemed like the brand across the board wasn't congruent, right? So I had the It Bees Like That podcast kind of attached to Maji on YouTube, but it wasn't. It's a separate thing. Maji on YouTube had a blend of like fitness and like all the other stuff that I talk about more lately with recovery and like professional stuff, like when I interview attorneys and whatever. It was getting messy, and there was no congruency with the brand. So I was like, I'm gonna sit down and take the time, and I'm gonna rebrand this thing officially. So here it go, the It Bees Like That podcast. Period. That's it. No more MajiOnline.com. And I'm not sad about it. I'm not sad about it because I feel pretty strongly about the reasons why I stepped away from it. It's just a weird thing. Just a weird thing. There's a lot of weird things happened that they don't sit right with me. And like, yeah, that's about as far as I'm going to that. But there's a lot of wacky stuff going on in politics. I usually don't talk about politics. I'm not going to get too deep off into it right now. I do like to, though, on social media, just kind of like highlight, and not even playing devil's advocate. I just like to hold a mirror up to people and show them how ridiculous they sound when they opine about all of the deficiencies of one candidate over another candidate, when they all, in my opinion, are equally crummy, right? Harris, Biden, and Trump, all of these people all have, their own interest in mind. I think if people were to not accept that point, that would be silly. But the thing that really intrigues me the most about all three of them is they don't just share that stuff in common. They share all of the sinister, lying, manipulative tactics and just like gaslighting shit together too. I say pretty on par with each other. All of them. like, don't look at my left hand that's holding a hammer that I used to fucking smash down and intentionally destroy the best interest of the people that I claim to serve. And don't look at my right hand where I have all of the shallow and empty promises that I make to people about upholding and protecting their rights and best interests, all at the same time, wielding this hammer and smacking the shit out of you. But the crazy part about it is they're hitting you, but they're making you believe that they're hitting, the people that you don't like on the opposite side of the ideological aisle harder. So you're okay with what you consider to be marginal abuse. So you'll suffer that. So you'll bear the expense of that abuse to be sure that things that you abhor, that you think you abhor, that you probably don't even fully understand, aren't allowed, which is fucking crazy because on any side, they're allowing them in one version or another. You've just decided that in your mind, this version is worse than that one, which is, all right, bro, whatever you say. And I admit to being a bit of a troll, not having any real reason why I wouldn't, right? You know what I mean? Like, if I know I can light you up and like get you all worked up over like silly ass shit, what I define as silly ass shit, and I can get you to go on a fucking ramble about whatever, and then just boom, just say like 3 words that I know are going to conjure up like the largest and most intense feelings of cognitive dissonance within you possible, and just watch you squirm, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And like, again, the situation where like I know it, you know, we both know together the things that are going on, but people, man, it's crazy. It's like people are so ideologically captured by shit that I really don't think they fully understand. Now, I don't claim to be like a politics whiz and like know everything. Like I would get destroyed by like even a fucking D tier pundit. But I mean, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on common sense, and I can look out into this like mire of cockamamie BS and understand all these people are full of shit. Like, they're just as dangerous, each one of them. So don't give people shit and want to threaten to move out of the country because like your politician like didn't win the popularity contest. Shut the fuck up. And if you do want to move, bye. Get out. No, you shit. We're better off. Go. Bye. Who cares? Nobody gives a damn. Buy your plane ticket one way. Don't come back. Overstay your visa somewhere else. Go to Canada and spend $209 on some chicken wings at Costco or whatever the hell it was. Jackasses. Y'all sound foolish. Move out then. 4 years is going to go by like that, and there'll be somebody else in there, and people will it'll be the same thing. People, I just don't know. It would be crazy. It would be even wilder if 4 years from now, like, we go to the completely opposite end of the spectrum. The pendulum shifts completely to the other side, and conservatives start shaving their heads and abstaining from sex and moving to different countries. That would be some wackadoo stuff. Like, I see that stuff and I'm like, what are you? And let's just keep it real. Let's keep it real. Some of the people who are saying they're abstaining from sex because of the political landscape, are you sure? Are you sure? Is it because of Trump? Or were you celibate for quite a while before that? For other reasons? I have my suspicions about the timelines here. Seems like Trump just might be a convenient excuse now. It's like, I don't know, man. I really do try not to get too political on the channel, just because I know that I'm going to think what I think. I'm going to believe what I believe, based on, I like to do a little bit of research and based on what I observe and what I think makes sense for me and my family. I don't give a damn about whether or not people agree with it. I really don't, and I'm not going to try to change anyone's mind about it. I think a two-party system is kind of crazy, but again, also I don't have an alternative for the two-party system. I just think, like, on its face, like, a popularity contest is pretty wacky. But I mean, again, if I had like such a huge issue with the way that politics were, I might get involved and become a politician, or at least involved in policy or stuff like that. What I'm not gonna do, what I won't do, is I'm not gonna go on social media and literally cry. One, because that shit is weird. Because you have to like take your phone or your camera or whatever, get it all set up. Or like I don't get like, and then cry. So then you can cry on command. So then you're an actor, right? Or while you after you've begun to cry, like maybe you have people around that you have queued up and ready for, like, all right, when we're talking about the stuff, if I start crying, just start recording me so that I can post it. Or having the presence of mind after you start crying to queue up your phone, set it up, and record yourself, and then go back and edit it with music and subtitles and text. It just seems a little performative to me. But people eat it up. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. It seems to me in my brain, well, I know that I have bigger things to worry about, right? I still got to work every day. I have people that depend on me, like in my work. I have people that I need to be there for. In my family, I have people who depend on me that I need to be there for. I have other responsibilities and things. Like, life goes on. You are going to be okay. Just like all of the conservatives were going to be okay if Harris won. You're going to be okay that Trump won. He'll be gone in 4 years. You'll be all right. I do say, though, like, if your ass moves to a different country while Trump is president, don't bring your punk ass back here after 4 years. Just stay. Just stay. You quitting ass. You quitter. I don't know. So silly. It's so silly. It's silly, man. The whole thing is silly. I don't know. That's about as far as I'm going to go into some politics. But what else is new? It's getting colder. Getting colder for sure. Let me know what y'all favorite time of year is. I like bits of all of it. I don't like it when it gets too hot. Because I'm naturally hot-blooded, but then I don't like it when it's too cold either. Let me see. Thanksgiving was dope. We got a chance to hang out with family. Got all the kids together. My mom came over. Everybody came over. My mom brought pies. It's one of my favorite parts of the holidays. My mom's pecan pies. Yeah. But I kind of shot myself in the foot, right? Because I started snacking early in the morning. So by the time that, like, the actual dinner part rolled around, I didn't have a lot of room. Like, I was already pretty full. I ate like one medium-sized plate, and I was done. I didn't even have any leftovers. No, that's not true. I did have a little bit of leftovers. Had a turkey sandwich the next day. Looking forward to Christmas. That's going to be fun. And the bodybuilding menu. What is on the bodybuilding menu? I'm still not going to tell y'all what my plans are. If you're close to me, you probably know what my plans are. So far, everything is tracking really well. I just completed a deload week. Man, deload weeks are really, really helpful, especially like if you're like me and you're in your like mid 40s. You start getting all these like kind of like nagging things, and I worry more in my mid 40s than I did when I was in my 20s. Like, if I felt something like pinch when I was benching when I was 21, I'm not stopping. What am I gonna? I'm gonna go heavier on the next set. That'll take care of it. And I'm definitely not gonna freaking take a deload week. No, hell no. I'm working out 7 days a week, all year long. Why would I leave any gains on the table? I'm not doing any crazy shit like a deload. Anyway, all jokes aside, deloads are super helpful. Okay, I guess not everyone's gonna know what a deload week is. So a typical training week for me is 6 days a week. I train every muscle group twice a week. I roll through these cycles, so like a larger mesocycle or like a massing phase, or hypertrophy phase, where I'll progressively overload the stimulus on the muscle over a course of anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. 8 weeks, or the 8th week being the actual deload week. And so the deload week, when that comes, basically it's a active rest period. So you're not going to completely stop training. In fact, I guess science says or data points to a fuller, more comprehensive recovery and reduction of overall systemic fatigue if you continue to move throughout that deload week. So you can approach it in a couple of different ways. Some people prefer to have a more active deload week, so they won't reduce their volume, they'll just reduce the intensity. So they'll keep the same number of reps and sets, but they'll just reduce the load by like 50 to 60%. They'll just go super light, just stay active that way. I took a bit of a more aggressive approach. I reduced the load down to about 20%. So literally most of my lifts would be, so I would do some warm-ups, obviously, but these aren't going to be heavy. And then I would have one working set, and my reps would be 60% of what they were, and I would have one set, and the load would be 50% of what it was. So super light volume and loads. And I'll tell you, it works. Like, it drove fatigue way down. I slept really good, and I feel like a few little nagging things are better now, if not completely gone. But it drove me crazy. Drives me crazy. I don't understand how people who say they like to work out can go like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks without even thinking about going to the gym. Inside of my head, I'm going nuts, because this is like, I don't take any like anxiety meds or antidepressants or any of that kind of stuff. Like, training and everything that goes into bodybuilding is like, it's super therapeutic for me. So that's one of the reasons that's what I use it for. One of the things I use it for. So having that limited, I had to every day remind myself, like, there's a reason why we're doing this. We don't want to pull a pec. We don't want to like tear a quad. We don't want to strain a hamstring. We don't want to pop an Achilles. We don't do any of that shit, right? We want to stay healthy so that next year we can have a really good competitive season, and then reevaluate and see if we want to keep going. Because bodybuilding is challenging, man. It takes a lot of your time, and I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel about it after I compete next year. You know, we'll see how it goes. Because it's expensive too, bro. And like, with inflation the way it's been, it's, man, for a hobby that doesn't make you any money. I mean, it's a hobby because, you know, I'm not a professional. I'm going into my third year of competition. I guess amateur, yeah, whatever. But I don't make any money at it. I spend though. Like, the shows, you got to pay for your show, you got to pay for your tan, you got to pay for your travel, you got to pay for your hotel. You know, it adds up, man. This shit adds up. You know, and then coaching and, you know, supplements and gym memberships and gear and, I mean, workout gear and all that shit. It adds up, man, and it ends up being not a small expense, you know, a pretty legitimate expense. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I am looking forward to the improved look for next year on stage, though. I think the goal. What was I? 197 this year. So I'm guessing at least, it'd be cool. It'd be sick to come in at 210, but 205 at least for sure. 205 for sure. 205 for sure. Maybe even 204. We'll see. We shall see. But anyway, I'm done talking shit. If you didn't do it on the way in, think about doing it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, post notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the cool, fun, wacky, zany, tomfoolery, badass shit we talk about here on the Bees Like That podcast. Words of Heart today on the Bees Like That podcast. Peace, y'all.